Welcome to the user training series for Show the Way, the street outreach mobile app from Simtech Solutions. Case management, enrollment data. Our objectives in this session are to discuss the importance of your active project assignment, cover how to log and access enrollment data, and we'll provide examples of the different data collection stages. This video is a follow-up to the case management client record video. If you haven't watched that one yet, be sure to check it out. The case management module is used by communities in different ways. Some communities opt to only collect client-level information in the form of the client record, including the profile, case notes, and interactions. Other communities expand the use of the module to include the collection of required data elements for the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS. This video covers how to collect that expanded enrollment data. If you have questions about the local requirements for data entry, please contact your local administrator. Let's get started by accessing the main navigation menu by tapping on the Show the Way icon or dragging out with your finger on your phone or mobile device. Then you can select Case Management. On the next screen, you have three buttons. The first is Start Interaction. This is the option you would use if you're directly working with a client in real time and want to be able to log an interaction and have that appear on their History tab. The next is Lookup Client. This option allows you to view information about the client without having to directly log an interaction. You can see their history, case notes, other programs and organizations that may be working with the client, and their profile information. Finally, you have My Clients, which is a shortcut to a list of clients that you've had interactions with or have been added to your caseload. You can use any of these buttons to log client enrollment data, but the most direct way is to start interaction, and that's the process that we'll look at first. When entering client data, it's important to remember to check your My Settings on the right-hand side to make sure that your active project assignment is the correct one that you'd like your data tied to. If you need to update your project assignment, you can select your other additional projects from the drop-down as applicable, and then hit the Save Assignment button. Let's take a look at the Start Interaction workflow. After you tap the button, you'll be asked to confirm your location. This is the location that the interaction will be tied to for this client, both in the app and the Regional Command Center. Most users will simply need to tap the Next button. You can adjust your location on this map if it doesn't show your precise location. You can also zoom in and out on this map. After hitting the Next button, we'll be asked to look up the client. This is one of the features of Show the Way to help reduce the number of duplicate client records that are created. You can search by their first or last name, a nickname or alias, or their date of birth. You don't have to have all of these fields available to search, but the more you have, the better your results will be. For this example, we'll search for John Doe and hit the Search for Client button. On the following screen, we'll see a list of results that match our search parameters. If there weren't any clients in the database that matched our information, we could use the Create New Client button to create a new record. Please see the Case Management Client Record video for more details. In this case, I can see that this is the client record I'd like to work with, based on the information provided here. I can select this record and see a few more details about John, including recent interactions and who completed those. If we hit the View Client button, on the next screen, we're asked to record the client's current living situation. The information date is auto-populated to today's date. If you need to do back data entry, you can tap the calendar icon to bring up the widget to change the date here. The next question is, where is the client sleeping tonight? It's auto-populated to place not meant for habitation, as that's likely the response option you'll use the most doing street outreach. If this isn't where the client is staying, you can use the drop-down arrow and scroll to see the full list of required response options. If the client is staying in a place not meant for habitation, the next question asks about the type of place. With this question, Show the Way can help communities gather additional details about where people are staying, and help plan for local needs. You can use the drop-down arrow to see the list of responses. If the client is staying at an outdoor encampment and that encampment has already been created using the Encampments module of Show the Way, you can select the name of the camp from this drop-down list. By hitting the Save button, that will add this client to the list of clients for that encampment. These questions are not required, so if you don't have that information now, you can still hit the Save button and continue working with the client. If this is the first time you've interacted with this client using this project as your active project assignment, the first thing you'll see is a success notification that the client has a new connection with this project, and you can tap the OK button. From there, you'll be taken to the client profile, where you'll be able to interact with the additional features of the case management module. To learn more about using those features, please check out the Case Management Client Record training session. We're going to use the Take Action tab and see what we can do on this tab. First thing we see is a message that lets us know when the client was first connected with our project, and that all entry assessments still need to be completed. This message will update as the client moves through the different data collection stages. We can end the interaction at any time, but first we're going to take a look at the entry assessments. After tapping on the button that says Entry Assessments, we'll see a list of the surveys that are available for our local program needs. Your list may look a little different from this one. The first thing to notice is that all of the buttons are red. Show the Way uses progressive data collection, and we have a few color codings that help you understand which assessments have been started and which ones still need some information. If a button is red, that means that no one has been able to collect any of the information on that survey yet. If some of the information is complete, but not all of the required fields have been answered, the button will be yellow. Any surveys that have all of the required fields completed will be green. Let's take a look at how that works. To access a survey, we simply tap on the button, and then we can see the details. We can enter the information and then hit the Submit button. In this case, that survey only had one required field, so the button is now green. Let's take a look at another example. Let's say for the homelessness history, we're able to gather the place they were staying when they were entering our program, and maybe even how long they were there, but we're not able to gather the additional details of the homelessness history. We can see by the asterisks that there are additional required fields, but we don't have that information yet. We can still hit Submit, and now the button turns yellow. This tells anyone who's also working with this client and is assigned to our project that this survey has some information that still needs to be completed. When you've finished adding the information that you have available for the entry assessments, you can hit the back arrow, and you'll be taken back to the client record. You can add your case notes, edit the profile if you need to, or you can hit the End Interaction button. When we do that, we're taken back to the Case Management menu. From here, we could start an interaction with a new client, look up a client, or use the My Clients Shortcut button. While the most direct way to enter assessments is through the Start Interaction button, you can also access the Take Action tab when you use the Lookup Client or My Clients button. We'll look at the My Clients workflow next. If you tap the button, you'll see a list of clients, including the one we were just working with. If you select his record, then you'll see a summary of the information, including recent interactions, and you can hit View Client. From there, you're taken to the client profile. When using the My Clients or Lookup Client workflow, you're not immediately taken into an interaction like when you use the Start Interaction button. To launch that process, you would want to use the Take Action tab. When you tap on the tab, you'll be able to see that the client was first connected with the project on a specific date, but the entry assessments are still in process, similarly to what we saw before. We can continue the entry interaction, confirm our location, and then we'll be asked again to log our current living situation, and we can hit the Save button. Now we can access the entry assessments, and we can see that the colors of the buttons match what they looked like before. These two are green, which means they're complete. This one is yellow, so we need to add some additional information here. We can add this information and then hit the Submit button. The red button again indicates that this survey hasn't yet been completed. So we could select that and input any information that we have. Or we can hit the back arrow if we don't have this information yet, and then we can end the interaction again. To see how that looks from the Lookup Client button, we hit the button and enter the name that we're looking for, hit the Search for Client button, and access the record. View Client, and then again, from here we're just simply looking at the information, but if we want to log that interaction and have it appear on the History tab, we need to hit the Take Action tab and continue the entry interaction. Log our location and the current living situation, and then access the entry assessments if we need to update this information. If we still don't have new information and we just want to add a pinpoint on the History tab, then we could just go ahead and hit End Interaction at this time. Show the Way allows for multiple data collection stages. For example, once all of the entry assessments have been completed with at least one response for each of the required fields, when you start an interaction or take action with a client, you'll see that the text here changes. It now says that John has an active enrollment and the date that it started. It no longer has the information that all of the entry assessments are not yet complete. In this update stage, when we hit the Assessments button, you'll see a list of the assessments that are available for update. What's displayed here may change depending on your local program and funding requirements. You'll be able to see which of the assessments haven't yet been started based on the color coding as we talked about before. Now we'll look at an example of how to exit a client using the Lookup Clients feature. Once again, we can search with the information that we have about the client and hit the Search for Client button, and then select his record. View the client, and then hit the Take Action button. This time we have the option to either continue a during interaction survey, or we could exit the client from the project. When we select that option, we're asked to confirm our location and go ahead and save that current living situation. Since the client's being exited, this might actually change if they've moved to shelter, for example, or perhaps they've even been permanently housed, and you can select the correct option from the list. And hit the Save button. Now we have access to the exit and assessments. And we can complete all of the information that's required for each of these assessments, including the exit date and the destination. And hit Submit. Once all the required fields on each of these surveys have been completed, then this client will be exited from the program. Again, the specific assessments and questions that you see on this screen may change depending on local and funding requirements. If we hit the back arrow, we can end the interaction. This time we have the option to confirm the client status. And we can change it from active to inactive if this is a client who perhaps has been lost contact with and the number of days that your locally determined date range has been passed, 30 or 60 or 90 days depending on different coordinated entry standards. You could select inactive. The client would still be exited from the program, but you could search for an inactive status and find the client more easily. Or, in this case, since the client was permanently housed, we could select exited, and that would confirm the status. If we were to look up John's record again, we'd be able to either view our client exit details and see the assessment information that had been submitted, or if we needed to open up an enrollment for John, we could hit the Take Action button and start a new entry interaction here. We would want to confirm that we're changing the client status from exited to active. And then the process is as before, with logging the current living situation, we have a new connection with our program, and we can access the entry assessments. This concludes the training agenda for this session. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to check out the rest of the training videos in this series. If you need additional support, please email us at support@simtechsolutions.com.